Hey, it's Ken Dunn. We're back again. Welcome to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. In today's show, I'm going to explain to you exactly how to close your investors. Hey, my name's Ken Dunn, and I'm a real estate investor. I want to welcome you to the No Money Real Estate Podcast. On this show, I'm going to interview elite-level real estate investors from all over North America, and I'm going to help you to see one thing that all successful real estate investors have in common. They build their portfolios without using a dime of their own money. I've got a portfolio of $300 million in real estate. That includes resorts, apartment buildings, commercial buildings, and I've built the entire portfolio without using a dime of my own money. Real estate is a business that anybody can get into, but the strategies that those titan real estate investors use to build massive portfolios have been kept secret for decades. Now, because of this show, I'm going to reveal them to you. So let's get started. All right, welcome back, everybody. Listen, the whole purpose of this show is to spend lots of time with you and introduce you to all of my elite level real estate investor friends and help you to understand how they're doing it. Because the fact of the matter is, if you take a look at anybody who's building a massive real estate portfolio, the thing you're going to find in common with them is they all use other people's money. We've all heard it 100 times, OPM, other people's money. And I know it's daunting for people to do this, especially people that are new to real estate. I had a conversation with a brand new real estate investor the other day who was thinking about investing in one of my resorts. And during the conversation, he disclosed to me that he's been listening to the podcast and he's been following me on social media, and he sees what I'm doing and he knows the type of money that I've raised for my real estate ventures. And he says, you know, the biggest thing that would bug me about this would just be closing them, is like getting on the Zoom call, the phone call, and doing the ask. And I started thinking about it. I called some other people that I knew and got into one of my Facebook groups. We had a big live coaching call in our coaching program for cottages. And I asked everybody, you know, when you're thinking about raising money, the different phases of that process, what is the part that you think would be the most overwhelming? And guess what the overwhelming response was? Yeah, that's right. It's the ask. It's closing people. Because here's the thing. I talk a lot about in the raising money game about creating a funnel. And a funnel is not like a technology thing. I'm not talking about ClickFunnels or ActiveCampaign or Go High Level or any of that. A funnel is a systematic process for moving a prospect. Your prospect is the person that you want to lend you money through a process of evaluation where they're going to get all the information presented them in a way that when you finally get on the phone with them or on a Zoom call with them, all you have to do is a couple simple things. You have to build trust with them, get to know them, and I'm going to explain how to do that in this show. Then you got to do the ask. And if you do this right, 90% of them will give you money. I'll give you an example of what a funnel could look like. So for our resorts, what I actually do is I run Facebook ads and I get people to come to a presentation online, a Zoom presentation. And the last one I did was on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And I ran ads for a week, spent about $2,500, had 400 people register. I had 200 people showed up for the presentation, and 80 of them booked meetings with me. Actually, it was actually last night. 80 of them booked meetings with me to talk about investing in our project. 80 people. Now, that's part of the funnel, but that's not the end of the funnel. The next step in this process, what's happening right now, is every one of those people. What happened was last night when I was doing the presentation, I said, if you're interested in investing in this resort and talking to me, the first thing I want you to do is to fill out a survey. And in that survey, they're going to answer questions like, are you an accredited investor? How much do you make? What do you do? Like very important questions that I have to ask people to stay compliant with the rules in Canada. The other thing that survey does is it gets rid of the people who aren't really serious because they're not going to want to answer the questions. But then once they finish the survey, it takes them to my calendar. And they can book a private appointment to talk to me where I'm going to go over all the details with them. But when they fill out that calendar spot, I'm again asking them for their name, for their phone number. Even though I asked for it in the survey, I'm doing it again so we can make sure it's real and that they're giving the information. And we're doing it to make it a little bit difficult so we can, dissuade or eliminate all the tire kickers, right? So then once they book the appointment, I tell them that after you book the appointment, you're going to be forwarded to a full investor's package. And I give it to them right then. Even if their appointment isn't for 5 or 6 days later, in my investor's package is a full business plan. It's the purchase agreements for the property. It's the surveys for the property. It's all the inspections. It's any contracts we have with the people that are going to build the property. I mean, I overwhelm them. I give them everything. I even give them copies of the documents that they're going to be signing. And then between when they make their appointment and when they have their appointment with me to actually get on a Zoom call and talk to me, what I do next is I have virtual assistants that work for me that start calling them. And they'll call them up and introduce themselves and say, hey, I'm on Ken's team. I'm just calling you right now to make sure that you're going to make your appointment. You're scheduled for this time at this date. It's on Zoom. We really asked for you to be in front of a computer. Will you be able to do that? And then they say, hey, do you have any questions? You've been looking through the information now. I know a lot about the project. Maybe I can answer some questions. And I teach the VAs to start answering the questions. And then they say, hey, I would like to encourage you to keep looking through the presentation. And I'm wondering if I can give you a call. Your appointment's not till Friday. It's only Monday. Can I call you again on Wednesday and just check in to see how you're doing and see if there's any more questions I can answer? Well, this is all done very methodically for two reasons. Number one, it keeps the appointment in their mind, right? Because somebody's calling. It also increases the importance of it to them because they see I have a full-time resource that's doing this, that's just getting them. But I think most importantly, we're handling all the objections before they get to me. Right? We're going through all the information. So here's what happens. On the day of the call, the virtual assistant calls up and says, hey, you're meeting with Ken at 8 o'clock. Don't forget. Would you like me to send you the Zoom link? Well, because we do all of that stuff between when they book the appointment and when I have the appointment, 90% of the people who book an appointment with me actually show up. But here's the magical part. 70% of the people who show up, one of the very first questions they ask me is, how do I give you the money? Because we've done all this work to pre-qualify them ahead of time before they even get to the meeting. So it helps the process easier. So that's called a funnel. From when I ran the Facebook ad till they're on the call with me. Notice I didn't tell you how I'm closing them, because I'm going to get to that. I want to tell you another funnel. If you go to my Facebook page, I'm going to put the Facebook page, my actual Facebook page, in the notes to this show. Go over there and follow me on Facebook. I'm telling you, it's a learning tool for you. I'm not just trying to convince you to come to my Facebook page. Here's why. In the last 12 months, I have raised $12.5 million on my Facebook page. And it's a different type of funnel, and I'll explain how it works. I've literally built my Facebook page. If you go over there, you'll see there's about 10,000 people that are all investors and lenders. And I've done this intentionally. And I put lots of content on my Facebook page where they get to know me. They can see my travels. They can see I'm legitimate. I do videos when I'm in my businesses, all kinds of crazy stuff. You might actually be watching this video on my Facebook page, by the way, too. So if you're on my Facebook page watching this video, then I'm going to put a link to the YouTube channel. So I want you, if you're watching this on any other social media channel, or if you're listening to this on the podcast, I want you to go to my Facebook page and subscribe. And I want you to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe there too. If you're liking this content, then make sure that you get onto that YouTube channel, because there is crazy cool stuff coming there. And by the way, I give away thousands of dollars every month to people that follow me. So I like giving away money. It's really cool. Anyway, if you go to my Facebook page, go find a post that's a happy face. And all the post says is, I'm getting into a new business venture and I'm looking for 14 people that want to jump into this business with me. And I'm offering folks that invest in this project with me the chance to quadruple their money. And I basically tell them, I don't go right out and say it, but I say, if you put $1 in, I'm going to give you $4 back. And it's going to be amazing. And then all I say below, there's a big happy face picture. And then below that, I say, if you'd like, in the comments, I say, if you want to know more about it, type more info in the comments and I'll send you a private message. Well, if you go find that happy face picture, you're going to see there's like freaking 70, 80 comments there. Every single person who said more info, I sent them a private message. And I explained in detail what it was about. This is a hot tub company that I'm buying in Kitchener, Ontario. They did $1.8 million in revenue last year. They have a 30% profit margin. We're going to scale this business to $100 million in annual revenue. And if you were looking for 15 people to loan us $200,000 each, and if you give me $200,000, you're going to sign a loan and royalty agreement. So you're going to get paid 9% of your money, but I'm also going to pay you a percentage of the profits of the company until you've gotten a total of $800,000 back. It's going to take 3 or 4 years to get you all that money, but it's first come, first serve, and I've already got 7 people. And I said, if you're interested, here's a link to the investors package. Now, the investors packages that I keep talking about here are really, really important to this process. And there's lots of other shows in the podcast and on my YouTube channel where I talk about what's in an investors package. There's even a video training there where I open up an investors package and walk you through it and tell you what it's all about. That's a really important tool. The most important reason to have a good quality investors package is that it literally helps to eliminate all the objections, and it builds trust and credibility. If people see that you have all the information properly structured in a way that makes sense and it's logical, it's going to be really freaking easy for you to do that. So I give them a copy of the investors package, and then I say, once you've looked through all this information, if this is something you're interested in doing, then let me know here, and we'll jump on a Zoom call and I'll chat with you about it. And then the people that are interested, they say, yeah, I'd like to get on Zoom with you. So then I give a link to my calendar, and what happens? They fill out the form. They book the appointment. They go look at the information. I give them the lender's package again. The VAs start calling them. They get them to show up. And from that one post, in less than 37 minutes, I had 15 people each give me $200,000. I raised $3 million. That's a funnel. Now, what I really want to talk to you guys about today is the connecting piece to everything that we've been discussing. If you think about the examples I gave you, I stopped at, now I get on Zoom with them, right? I want to talk about what happens on Zoom today, so that how do you get the money, right? That's the most important part of this, is you need to actually ask the question and get them to send the check or wire transfer, whatever they're going to do. So here's some tips for you that I want you to understand. First and foremost, understand that age-old personal development adage: you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So when you get onto that Zoom call, I strongly, strongly encourage, when you're dealing with investors, get on a Zoom call with them. Why? Because you can literally you basically get to take advantage of all their senses. You can engage all of their senses and control them. Now, what I'm about to tell you, a lot of this comes from years of police interrogation. I know I have an upper hand on most real estate investors because I was a police interrogator for 10 years. And the art of closing somebody on a call or on a Zoom call to get them to give you money, it's the exact same skills that I used when I was interrogating murder suspects. And I'll tell you really quickly about that. Some of my police interrogations would last 25, 30 hours straight of talking to people. The first phase, they were normally broken into 3 phases. Phase 1 is building the relationship, building trust. You got to get to the point where they actually trust you enough that they're going to confide in you and confess to their crime. That building trust phase is the most important part of the entire time that I was with them. Phase 2 is called a direct positive confrontation. So I build trust for them for 10 or 12 hours, and then I'm going to say to them, I know why you did it, and you didn't mean to do it. And I'll get them to confess. But then phase 3 is the clarification. I'm going to present a reason to why they committed the crime that's acceptable to them. I'll say, like, you didn't mean to do it. She was really a friend. It was an accident. You were drunk. You hate it. But then I can't leave it like that. I got to bring them back to reality. And so you spend the last point cleaning up. So I use the exact same process when I'm closing investors. Now, many of my investors and lenders are going to be listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube. Please don't think any less of me. This is like personal development techniques. I'm not manipulating you, and I'm teaching everybody how to do it because this is the way you do anything in sales and marketing. But in that first phase, what I'll do is I'll just build a relationship with them. So, and I'll spend as much time as I need to, but just getting to know them, talking to them, learning about their family, learning about why they're investing, what they're doing, what their goals are. And then what I want to do is I want to connect the money they're giving me to the goal they gave me. And I'll say something like, well, I really appreciate that. I'll do a transition where I'll always say, hey, you've gone through all the information and I'll know the name of the person who was the VA is following. I know Carl has been talking to you too. Are there any questions that I still need to answer for you? And they'll ask me questions and I'll answer the questions. And then I'll say, all right, it really sounds to me like you're ready to get started. How much do you want to invest? See, I don't actually ask the question. I assume the close. And that's really, really important. Because if you say to somebody in a call, so will you give me the money? Are you interested in doing that? You're going to lose credibility with them in the way you ask that question. It is such an important question. I'll tell you why. People want to invest in projects. First of all, people don't invest in projects. They invest in people. People are going to want to invest in you because they feel confident in you, in your ability to communicate. And so if you ask the question and say, hey, will you please give me the money? They're going to hear that lack of confidence. They're going to hear that there are issues. And this all happens at a subconscious level. I got to qualify this and say, they don't realize that they're reacting this way. It's subconscious that happens like this. Versus what I say is, it's clear to me that you want to invest money in the project. I have $1 million left to raise. Do you want to invest the whole $1 million? I'll joke around with them and say that, but I'll say something to that end. Like, how much do you want to invest? Are you ready to get started? I don't even say, are you ready to get started? How much do you want to invest? How soon can you get me the money? Things like this. This is that's how I ask the question, because it assumes that they're going to do it. It assumes the close. And then as soon as they answer that, I'm going to clarify that. I'm going to say, okay, great. That's fantastic. Based on our conversations, you qualify. Here's one more thing I want you to understand. Whenever I'm closing people, whenever I'm doing this, the biggest thing that real estate investors have to do, you have to change your mindset, the way you think about this. Whenever I'm raising money for any projects and taking people's monies, I 100% believe that I'm giving them a gift. That I'm helping them, that I'm helping them create wealth, that I'm helping them make more money. And if you don't believe that you're helping them make money and you don't convince yourself of that, it's going to change your entire persona around them. It's going to change how you communicate with them. And that's like the kiss of death in fundraising. So you got to believe that. And I believe that. And so I say to them, how much do you want to invest? I can tell you want to invest. How much are you going to put into the project? Let's get started. So the moral to this story is you have to truly believe that you're qualified and you're competent and you've got something to give them, that you're going to help them. And if you can get your mind into that place, the whole fundraising process will be easier. Hey, I hope you loved this podcast show today. Remember, like I say all the time, if you enjoyed the show and you're listening to the podcast, then please get over there and subscribe, give us a 5-star review, leave us a comment, tell other real estate investors why they need to be listening to this show. If you're checking it out on YouTube, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave some comments. And as always, if you have any questions about anything you hear on this show, I personally answer all the questions, and I will answer the questions you give me in the chat. And of course, if you're watching this video on my website or on another social media channel, then click on the links, get over to the podcast, subscribe, get onto the YouTube channel to subscribe, and wait to see what I've got in store for you for the next episode.